The termination letter slipped from my fingers and fluttered onto the polished mahogany conference table as I watched my boss Thomas Hartwell deliver what he believed was my professional death sentence in front of Apex Marketing's entire executive team, his voice carrying the satisfied authority of someone who thought he was eliminating the last obstacle between himself and complete ownership of the innovative client strategies and breakthrough campaigns that I had spent 3 years developing for the company's most profitable accounts. Alex Parker's termination is effective immediately, Thomas announced to the assembled VPs and directors who sat in uncomfortable silence around the table, clearly believing they were witnessing standard corporate restructuring rather than systematic theft of intellectual property and client relationships that would devastate Apex's competitive position within weeks. Unfortunately, recent performance issues and strategic misalignment have made it necessary to pursue new creative direction that better serves our clients' evolving needs and market positioning requirements. I remained perfectly motionless in my chair, maintaining the composed expression of a senior creative director while processing the culmination of 6 months of systematic betrayal. Not just the theft of my client campaigns and strategic innovations, but Thomas's elaborate plan to steal my most profitable accounts while positioning himself as the visionary leader who had rescued those clients from my alleged creative limitations and professional inadequacies. The explanation continued as Thomas detailed his version of my performance failures, while the executives who had praised my campaign successes for 3 years now nodded along with his narrative of creative stagnation and client dissatisfaction that would justify my elimination and his appropriation of the breakthrough marketing strategies that had generated over $40 million in new revenue for Apex. The Meridian Hotels campaign, the Stellar Technologies launch, and the Pinnacle Financial rebranding will continue under my direct supervision, Thomas declared while distributing portfolio materials that contained my original creative concepts and strategic frameworks, each project representing months of innovative thinking that had transformed struggling client relationships into industry success stories. These accounts require experienced leadership and proven strategic vision that can deliver the high-level creative solutions our premium clients demand. These accounts require experienced leadership and proven strategic vision that can deliver high-level creative solutions our premium clients demand. The patronizing dismissal that positioned my most successful innovations as requiring his oversight while reducing 3 years of breakthrough creativity to preliminary work that needed his strategic guidance and professional refinement. But as I watched Thomas bask in what he believed was his moment of complete victory, I felt my phone vibrate with a text message that would transform his triumph into the beginning of his professional destruction. Catalyst Creative is officially launched. All major clients confirmed. Press release goes live in 30 minutes. Patricia. The message brought a calm smile to my face that made Thomas pause mid-sentence, his confident expression flickering with confusion as he realized that his systematic destruction of my career was being received with unexpected composure rather than the devastation and professional panic he had carefully orchestrated. "Thomas?" I said quietly, while gathering my personal items and the leather portfolio that contained documents he would never see. I suppose that settles the question of whether some people think success belongs to whoever can steal it, or to whoever was smart enough to see the theft coming. The quote hung in the corporate air like a prediction. Around the conference table, executives exchanged glances that revealed their growing sense that something far more complex than standard termination was unfolding before their eyes. What Thomas didn't know as he savored his apparent victory was that I had discovered his plan to steal my clients and eliminate my position 4 months ago, and I had spent that time not updating my resume or seeking new employment, but quietly building Catalyst Creative into a fully operational competitor that had already secured his most profitable accounts through legitimate client relationships and superior creative strategies. The termination he thought would end my career had actually been the launch date I had been preparing for since January, and by this afternoon, Thomas would discover that firing me yesterday had made me his biggest competitor today. The professional relationship between Thomas Hartwell and me had been built on what I believed was mutual respect for creative excellence and shared commitment to transforming Apex Marketing from a traditional advertising agency into an innovative strategic consultancy that could compete with global firms while maintaining boutique attention to client relationships and creative quality. Alex's creative vision and client relationship skills represent exactly what Apex needs to reach the next level, Thomas had explained during my hiring interview 3 years earlier, positioning our partnership as collaborative leadership between his business development expertise and my creative and strategic capabilities. Your background in integrated marketing and brand strategy fills the gap we need to evolve from traditional advertising into comprehensive brand consulting that serves Fortune 500 clients. Alex's creative vision and client relationship skills represent exactly what Apex needs, with background filling the gap to evolve into comprehensive brand consulting. The early recognition that had convinced me Thomas understood the value of creative innovation, while appreciating my potential to lead Apex's transformation into a strategic consultancy that combined creative excellence with business intelligence and client relationship depth. During our first 2 years of collaboration, Thomas had consistently supported my most ambitious creative proposals, while I had focused on developing the integrated marketing strategies and client relationships that would become Apex's signature competitive advantages. He had provided resources, defended my budget requests to executive leadership, and encouraged breakthrough creative projects. The campaigns you're developing will establish Apex as the premier strategic consultancy on the East Coast, Thomas had said during numerous client presentations and strategic planning sessions, acknowledging my creative leadership while expressing enthusiasm for innovations that positioned our agency as essential for high-level brand development and market positioning. The campaigns you're developing will establish Apex as the premier strategic consultancy on the East Coast. The validation that had motivated my complete dedication to developing proprietary strategic frameworks and creative methodologies, while Thomas managed executive relationships and business operations that required his sales expertise and corporate navigation skills. But the warning signs that I had attributed to normal business pressure and competitive stress had actually been evidence of Thomas's systematic study of my client relationships and strategic planning for appropriating my innovations while positioning himself as the creative leader responsible for Apex's most successful campaigns and strategic breakthroughs. I need to be more involved in client strategy sessions to ensure executive oversight, Thomas had begun requesting during recent months, asking for comprehensive documentation of my creative processes and client relationship management that would enable him to understand and potentially replicate my most successful strategic approaches. I need more involvement in client strategy to ensure executive oversight. The reasonable management request that had seemed like appropriate business development, but was actually strategic preparation for appropriating my client relationships while removing me from leadership positions that would enable me to protect my creative innovations and professional contributions. The client documentation that Thomas had requested included detailed creative briefs, strategic analysis reports, and relationship management protocols that represented my most valuable professional methods and competitive advantages for building deep client partnerships and delivering breakthrough creative solutions. Client documentation helps ensure continuity and institutional knowledge, Thomas had explained while gathering materials that would later enable him to present my strategic approaches as agency capabilities rather than individual expertise. Executive leadership needs comprehensive understanding of client relationships to ensure appropriate business development and strategic account management. Client documentation ensures continuity and institutional knowledge with executive understanding, ensuring appropriate development and account management. The business justification that had convinced me to share detailed strategic knowledge, while Thomas positioned himself as institutional guardian of client relationships that I had built through personal expertise and creative innovation. The creative process documentation that we had developed together for training and quality assurance had given Thomas detailed insight into my strategic thinking and creative methodologies, information that would later enable him to claim ownership of innovative approaches while eliminating my role in continued creative development and strategic leadership. Process documentation enables agency-wide creative consistency and strategic alignment, Thomas had explained during creative operations planning. Your innovative approaches need institutional framework and management oversight to maximize client value while ensuring scalable creative development that serves business growth objectives. Process documentation enables creative consistency with innovative approaches, needing institutional framework and management oversight to maximize value while ensuring scalable development. The systematization that had gradually reduced my visible role in creative innovation, while positioning Thomas as the management leader responsible for strategic oversight and creative direction that guided agency development and client success. The discovery that would fundamentally alter my understanding of Thomas's partnership had occurred on a cold February morning when I arrived early at the office to prepare for a crucial client presentation and found Thomas in his office conducting what appeared to be a strategic planning session with external consultants who were reviewing comprehensive documentation of my creative campaigns and client relationships. The Meridian Hotel's campaign demonstrates exactly the kind of strategic innovation we want to replicate. I heard Thomas explaining to the consultants while displaying my original creative concepts and strategic frameworks that I had never authorized for external review or business development discussions with competing agencies or strategic partners. The Meridian campaign demonstrates strategic innovation we want to replicate. The conversation that revealed Thomas had been sharing my proprietary creative methods with external parties while discussing strategies for systematically appropriating my innovations and client relationships without my knowledge or professional consent. The strategic consultation that Thomas was conducting included detailed analysis of my most successful campaigns, while the external advisors provided recommendations for transitioning client relationships and institutionalizing creative processes in ways that would eliminate my individual contributions while preserving the strategic value of my innovations for agency development. Alex's departure will require careful client relationship management, one of the consultants advised while Thomas reviewed transition strategies that proved he had been planning my elimination for months, rather than responding to recent performance issues or strategic disagreements that might justify termination for business reasons. Alex's departure will require careful client relationship management. The evidence that Thomas had been systematically planning my termination while preparing to appropriate my client relationships through strategic consultation that would enable him to claim ownership of innovations that had been developed through my individual creativity and professional expertise. But the discovery that would enable my strategic response had been finding emails between Thomas and several of Apex's most important clients that revealed he had been positioning himself as the primary strategic leader while gradually minimizing my role in successful campaigns and creative development that had generated substantial revenue and competitive advantages. Thomas has been communicating directly with major clients about campaign development. I discovered through archived email threads that dated back 6 months, proving that his appropriation of my client relationships had been systematically planned, while I had been trusting him to serve as collaborative partner rather than competitive threat. Thomas communicating directly with major clients about campaign development. The evidence of systematic client relationship appropriation that would provide legal grounds for civil litigation while demonstrating that his termination of my employment was motivated by theft rather than legitimate business concerns or performance issues. The private investigator that I had retained within days of discovering Thomas's appropriation planning had provided comprehensive documentation of his systematic preparation for stealing my innovations while eliminating my role through corporate manipulation that would leave him in control of client relationships and creative strategies I had developed. Thomas Hartwell has been conducting systematic preparation for appropriating Alex Parker's client relationships and creative innovations. Private investigator Patricia Rodriguez had reported during our first evidence briefing. His activities demonstrate premeditated business fraud and intellectual property theft that justify both criminal prosecution and civil litigation for comprehensive recovery and accountability. Systematic preparation for appropriating client relationships and creative innovations, demonstrating premeditated business fraud and intellectual property theft. The evidence that transformed my professional concern into criminal investigation while providing legal foundation for pursuing comprehensive accountability and civil recovery that would protect my professional reputation and creative property rights. The forensic analysis of Apex's computer systems and client communications had revealed that Thomas had been copying my strategic documents, creative files, and client correspondence while building comprehensive documentation that would enable him to claim ownership of my innovations during business presentations and client relationship management. But the most shocking discovery had been evidence that Thomas had already been negotiating with venture capital firms about spinning off Apex's most profitable accounts into a new agency that would be controlled by him, using my stolen client relationships and creative strategies as the foundation for a competing business that would exclude me from any ownership or recognition. Hartwell Strategic Partners Incorporation documents list Thomas as sole founder of creative consulting firm. Business investigation revealed through registration records that proved Thomas's systematic theft was motivated by plans for independent business development, using my appropriated client relationships and strategic innovations. Incorporation documents list Thomas as sole founder using appropriated relationships and innovations. The evidence of comprehensive business fraud that proved Thomas's termination planning was component of criminal conspiracy that would require federal prosecution and civil asset recovery to protect my professional interests and creative property rights. The 4 months between discovering Thomas's systematic betrayal and my termination date had been dedicated to building what would become the most comprehensive corporate counterintelligence operation in Apex Marketing's history, utilizing my client relationships and creative expertise to establish Catalyst Creative as a fully operational competitor that would capture Thomas's most profitable accounts, while ensuring his theft became the catalyst for his own business destruction. Alex's response requires comprehensive business strategy that addresses both civil litigation and competitive market positioning. Attorney Daniel Martinez had explained during legal consultation sessions that prepared both prosecution and business development procedures. Thomas's systematic theft provides grounds for substantial damages, while strategic business development ensures Alex maintains competitive advantage and professional recognition independent of Apex Marketing's corporate politics. Response requires comprehensive strategy addressing litigation and competitive positioning with systematic theft, providing damages, while strategic development ensures competitive advantage, independent of corporate politics. The legal framework that would transform Thomas's betrayal into opportunity for independent business success while pursuing civil accountability that would protect my professional reputation and establish industry precedent for prosecuting creative appropriation and client relationship theft. But the most strategically valuable discovery had been that my client relationships were based on personal trust and creative excellence rather than corporate affiliation, providing opportunity for legitimate business development that would honor existing professional connections while offering superior strategic services through independent creative consultancy. Major client relationships are based on personal trust and creative excellence, rather than corporate affiliation. Business development specialist Patricia Torres had confirmed during client relationship analysis. Independent consultancy enables superior strategic services while maintaining professional connections that honor existing relationships and provide competitive advantages over corporate constraints. Client relationships, based on personal trust, enabling independent consultancy with superior services while maintaining connections and providing competitive advantages over corporate constraints. The relationship foundation that would enable legitimate business development while demonstrating that Thomas's appropriation efforts were doomed to fail because client loyalty was based on individual expertise rather than institutional authority. The business formation process that I had initiated through legal coordination ensured that Catalyst Creative would possess comprehensive client relationships and strategic capabilities, while Thomas's theft would trigger immediate legal consequences that eliminated his competitive advantages and protected my professional development through legitimate business success. Catalyst Creative formation includes comprehensive client transition and strategic capability development, business formation specialist Michael Torres had confirmed during incorporation planning. Legal protections ensure client relationship continuity, while competitive advantages derive from superior creative services and strategic innovation rather than corporate appropriation or theft. Formation includes comprehensive client transition with legal protections ensuring continuity, while competitive advantages derive from superior creative services rather than corporate appropriation. The business framework that would ensure my independent success while protecting client relationships from corporate interference and providing strategic advantages based on authentic creativity and professional expertise rather than stolen innovations. The client development strategy that had been implemented during preparation involved discreet communication with Apex's major accounts to inform them about my upcoming independent practice while demonstrating continuity of creative services and strategic relationship management that would serve their business objectives better than corporate constraints. Discreet client communication demonstrates continuity of creative services and strategic relationship management. Client Development Coordinator Amanda Rodriguez had reported during transition planning. Independent practice enables enhanced creative services while eliminating corporate constraints that might otherwise compromise client relationships and strategic innovation. Discreet communication demonstrates continuity enabling enhanced services while eliminating corporate constraints that might compromise relationships and strategic innovation. The client relationship strategy that proved my professional value was based on individual expertise, while Thomas's corporate authority provided no sustainable competitive advantages that could compete with authentic creative excellence and strategic innovation. The team recruitment that had been conducted through my professional network had attracted senior creatives and strategic specialists who preferred working with recognized innovation leaders rather than corporate executives who claimed credit for others' creative achievements and strategic breakthroughs. Team recruitment has exceeded expectations with senior professionals prioritizing creative leadership and strategic innovation. Recruitment specialist Patricia Morrison had confirmed during staffing evaluation. Creative professionals recognize authentic expertise while avoiding corporate environments that compromise individual achievement and professional recognition. Team recruitment exceeded expectations with professionals prioritizing creative leadership while avoiding corporate environments compromising individual achievement and professional recognition. The staffing success that ensured Catalyst Creative would possess superior creative capabilities, while Thomas's reliance on stolen innovations would create competitive disadvantages when original creativity and strategic thinking were required for continued client success. The intellectual property protection that had been established through legal coordination ensured that my innovations would remain secure, while Thomas's attempts to commercialize stolen creativity would trigger automatic legal penalties and civil recovery that would eliminate his competitive advantages while strengthening my market position. Intellectual property protection ensures innovations remain secure, while commercialization of stolen creativity triggers automatic legal penalties and civil recovery. The legal security that would guarantee Thomas's theft resulted in immediate consequences while protecting my legitimate business development from corporate interference and competitive manipulation that might otherwise compromise market success and client relationships. The comprehensive business infrastructure that I had developed for Catalyst Creative during 4 months of secret preparation had exceeded all expectations while creating operational capabilities that would enable immediate competition with Apex Marketing through superior creative services and strategic innovation that honored client relationships built through authentic professional expertise. Catalyst Creative possesses complete operational infrastructure including creative studios, technology platforms, and strategic consultation capabilities. Operations Coordinator Daniel Rodriguez had reported during final preparation evaluation. Business capabilities exceed Apex Marketing's resources while providing enhanced creative services and strategic innovation that justify immediate market competition and client relationship development. Catalyst possesses complete infrastructure exceeding Apex's resources while providing enhanced creative services, justifying immediate market competition and client relationship development. The operational foundation that would enable superior competitive positioning while demonstrating that independent creative consultancy could deliver advantages unavailable through corporate constraints and management limitations that restricted innovation and client relationship depth. The technology integration that had been implemented through vendor relationships and creative partnerships provided Catalyst Creative with advanced design capabilities and strategic analysis tools that exceeded Apex's institutional resources while enabling breakthrough creative development and strategic consultation that would serve client objectives better than traditional agency models. Technology integration provides advanced design capabilities and strategic analysis exceeding institutional resources. Technology specialist Amanda Torres had confirmed during platform evaluation. Creative development and strategic consultation capabilities enable superior client services while competitive advantages derive from innovation rather than corporate authority or management hierarchy. Technology integration provides advanced capabilities exceeding institutional resources, with competitive advantages deriving from innovation rather than corporate authority or management hierarchy. The technological superiority that would ensure Catalyst Creative offered services unavailable through traditional agencies, while proving that authentic creativity combined with strategic innovation could compete successfully against larger corporate competitors. But the most crucial preparation had been financial modeling and investment coordination that ensured Catalyst Creative would possess adequate capital for immediate operations, while legal protections prevented Thomas from interfering with business development or client relationships through corporate retaliation or competitive manipulation. Financial modeling ensures adequate capital for immediate operations, with legal protections preventing corporate retaliation. Financial planning specialist Michael Torres had confirmed during investment coordination. Business development proceeds independently, while competitive advantages ensure market success through superior creative services rather than corporate interference or management manipulation. Financial modeling ensures adequate capital with legal protections, preventing retaliation, while competitive advantages ensure success through superior creative services rather than interference. The financial security that would enable sustained competition while protecting business development from corporate attacks that might otherwise compromise client relationships or market positioning during transition period. The client transition strategy that had been carefully coordinated with legal and business development specialists would ensure that Apex's most profitable accounts would transfer to Catalyst Creative through legitimate relationship management rather than corporate appropriation, honoring professional connections while providing enhanced creative services. Client transition strategy ensures profitable account transfer through legitimate relationship management. Transition specialist Patricia Rodriguez had confirmed during coordination planning. Professional connections transfer legitimately, while enhanced creative services provide competitive advantages that justify client loyalty and business development success. Transition strategy ensures account transfer through legitimate relationship management with enhanced services providing competitive advantages, justifying client loyalty and business success. The relationship strategy that would prove client loyalty was based on individual expertise, while corporate affiliation provided no sustainable advantages when superior creative services and strategic innovation were available through independent consultation. The media and publicity coordination that had been arranged through industry communications specialists would ensure that Catalyst Creative's launch received appropriate professional recognition while positioning independent creative consultancy as evolution of strategic marketing rather than competitive response to corporate betrayal or employment termination. Media coordination ensures professional recognition, positioning independent consultancy as strategic evolution. Communications specialist Daniel Martinez had explained during publicity planning. Industry coverage emphasizes creative innovation and strategic expertise while avoiding corporate controversy that might compromise professional reputation or client confidence. Media coordination ensures recognition, positioning consultancy as strategic evolution, while industry coverage emphasizes innovation and expertise, avoiding controversy that might compromise reputation. the communications framework that would ensure business launch enhanced professional standing while avoiding negative publicity that might otherwise affect client relationships or competitive market positioning during initial business development period. The legal protection framework that had been established through comprehensive coordination would ensure that any attempts by Thomas to interfere with client relationships or business development would trigger immediate legal consequences while protecting Catalyst Creative's competitive advantages through intellectual property security and professional rights enforcement. Legal framework ensures interference triggers immediate consequences while protecting competitive advantages through intellectual property security. Legal specialist Amanda Martinez had confirmed during protection planning. Professional rights enforcement prevents corporate retaliation, while business development proceeds through legitimate competition and superior creative services. Legal framework ensures interference triggers consequences while protecting advantages through security with professional rights, preventing retaliation, and enabling legitimate competition through superior services. The legal security that would guarantee Thomas's corporate authority could not compromise my independent business success, while ensuring that any retaliation would result in additional legal consequences that would further damage his professional reputation and competitive position. The final weeks before my planned termination date had been spent in psychological preparation for confronting Thomas's betrayal while maintaining professional composure necessary for implementing strategic response that would demonstrate superior business intelligence and creative expertise through successful independent competition rather than emotional retaliation. Alex's emotional intelligence and strategic thinking enable professional composure while implementing legitimate competitive response. Corporate psychologist Dr. Patricia Torres had observed during counseling sessions that prepared me for workplace confrontation while ensuring psychological stability necessary for business leadership and client relationship management. The ability to transform systematic betrayal into business opportunity reflects resilience that will support long-term success rather than destructive retaliation. Emotional intelligence and strategic thinking enable professional composure while implementing legitimate competitive response with ability to transform betrayal into opportunity reflecting resilience. The psychological framework that had enabled me to process Thomas's systematic deception while building emotional strength necessary for independent business leadership and competitive market positioning that honored professional ethics rather than personal vindication. The business intelligence coordination that had been conducted through industry networks and competitive analysis had revealed that Thomas's corporate strategy was fundamentally dependent on stolen innovations and appropriated client relationships rather than authentic creative capability or strategic expertise that could sustain competitive advantages. Thomas's corporate strategy depends on stolen innovations rather than authentic creative capability. Industry analyst Michael Rodriguez had documented through competitive research. Business sustainability requires continued appropriation, while competitive market positioning cannot be maintained through management authority alone without underlying creative expertise and strategic innovation. Corporate strategy depends on stolen innovations rather than authentic capability, with sustainability requiring continued appropriation while positioning cannot be maintained through authority alone. The competitive analysis that revealed Thomas's fundamental weakness while demonstrating that my independent business would possess sustainable advantages based on authentic creativity and strategic expertise rather than corporate theft and professional appropriation. But the most emotionally challenging preparation had been accepting that my professional relationship with Thomas had been systematically exploitative rather than collaborative, with his management authority serving to appropriate my innovations while limiting my professional recognition and career advancement opportunities. Professional relationship with Thomas was systematically exploitative rather than collaborative. Workplace consultant Amanda Torres had confirmed during relationship analysis. Management authority served appropriation while limiting recognition and advancement opportunities, making independent business development protective rather than competitive response to systematic professional exploitation. Professional relationship was systematically exploitative, with management authority serving appropriation while limiting recognition, making independent development protective rather than competitive response. The relationship understanding that transformed my business response from competitive retaliation into professional protection, while demonstrating that Thomas's corporate authority had been consistently used to limit rather than support my creative development and strategic expertise. The industry networking that had been conducted during preparation revealed widespread respect for my creative achievements and strategic innovation, while establishing professional relationships that would support Catalyst Creative's market positioning and competitive development through industry recognition rather than corporate affiliation. Industry networking reveals widespread respect for creative achievements and strategic innovation. Professional development specialist Daniel Martinez had reported during network analysis. Professional relationships support market positioning through industry recognition, while competitive development succeeds through creative expertise rather than corporate affiliation or management hierarchy. Industry networking reveals widespread respect, supporting market positioning through recognition, while competitive development succeeds through creative expertise rather than corporate affiliation. The professional validation that confirmed my business strategy would succeed based on individual reputation and creative capability, while Thomas's corporate advantages provided no sustainable competitive benefits when measured against authentic expertise and strategic innovation. The client communication strategy that had been developed for pre-termination relationship management ensured that professional connections would remain strong while avoiding any activities that might compromise legal standing or create ethical concerns during transition period between corporate employment and independent business development. Client communication strategy maintains professional connections while avoiding activities compromising legal standing. Relationship specialist Patricia Morrison had advised during communication planning. Professional relationships remain strong while transition proceeds ethically with competitive advantages based on superior creative services rather than inappropriate corporate resource use or client manipulation. Communication strategy maintains connections while avoiding activities compromising standing with relationships remaining strong while transition proceeds ethically through superior services. The ethical framework that ensured business development honored professional standards, while competitive advantages derived from legitimate expertise rather than corporate resource misuse that might otherwise compromise legal standing or professional reputation. As termination date approached and final preparation was completed for dramatic revelation of comprehensive business development that had occurred during Thomas's systematic betrayal planning, I reflected on transformation from apparent victim to strategic business leader whose creative expertise had enabled competitive response that exceeded corporate criminal capabilities. The meeting that Thomas expected would mark my professional destruction would instead demonstrate that his systematic appropriation had provided motivation and timeline for building superior business that would compete successfully against apex marketing through authentic creative excellence and strategic innovation that honored client relationships and professional expertise. Meeting expected to mark professional destruction would instead demonstrate that systematic appropriation had provided motivation for building superior business, competing through authentic excellence and innovation. The strategic reversal that would ensure Thomas's betrayal became catalyst for his competitive defeat, while establishing my independent success through legitimate business development that exceeded his corporate capabilities and professional vision. The specific legal documentation that would ensure Thomas's systematic theft triggered immediate civil litigation, while my competitive business development remained within ethical boundaries, had been carefully structured through coordination with business attorneys, intellectual property specialists, and competitive practice experts who understood creative industry ethics and client relationship management. Thomas's systematic appropriation of creative innovations and client relationships constitutes multiple civil violations including intellectual property theft, business interference, and breach of fiduciary duty, Attorney Daniel Martinez had confirmed during legal coordination sessions. Comprehensive civil litigation addresses both damages and injunctive relief, while Catalyst Creative's competitive development operates within legitimate business practices and professional ethics standards. Systematic appropriation constitutes multiple civil violations, including intellectual property theft and business interference, while Catalyst's development operates within legitimate business practices and professional ethics. The legal framework that would ensure Thomas faced serious civil accountability, while my competitive response remained ethically sound and professionally appropriate for independent business development and strategic market positioning. The intellectual property protection that had been established through comprehensive documentation proved my original ownership of creative strategies and strategic innovations, while Thomas's appropriation attempts would trigger automatic legal penalties and civil recovery that eliminated competitive advantages gained through theft. Intellectual property documentation proves original ownership of creative strategies. IP specialist Patricia Torres had verified during ownership analysis. Thomas's appropriation triggers automatic legal penalties, while Catalyst Creative maintains exclusive rights to original innovations and competitive advantages derived from authentic creative development rather than corporate theft. Documentation proves original ownership, with appropriation triggering automatic penalties, while Catalyst maintains exclusive rights to innovations and advantages derived from authentic development. The intellectual property protection that would ensure Thomas's theft resulted in legal consequences, while my legitimate business development maintained competitive advantages through original creativity and strategic expertise rather than stolen corporate resources. The business formation legal protections that had been established for Catalyst Creative ensured comprehensive client relationship rights, while Thomas's attempts at competitive interference would trigger enhanced civil penalties and professional sanctions that would damage his corporate standing and market credibility. Catalyst Creative formation includes comprehensive client relationship rights with interference attempts, triggering enhanced civil penalties. Business formation specialist Michael Torres had confirmed during legal structure review. Professional sanctions would damage corporate standing, while legitimate competitive development proceeds through superior creative services and strategic innovation. Formation includes comprehensive client rights, with interference triggering enhanced penalties and professional sanctions, damaging corporate standing while legitimate development proceeds through superior services. The business protection that would ensure Thomas's corporate retaliation resulted in additional legal consequences, while my competitive success proceeded through legitimate professional excellence and client relationship management that honored industry standards. The competitive practice documentation that had been prepared through industry legal specialists established that client relationship transition and independent business development represented standard professional practice, rather than inappropriate corporate resource use or unethical competitive behavior that might violate industry standards. Client relationship transition and independent business development represent standard professional practice, competitive practice. Specialist Amanda Rodriguez had confirmed during ethical review. Industry standards support professional mobility, while competitive development succeeds through superior services rather than corporate resource misuse or unethical competitive behavior. Client transition and independent development represent standard practice, with industry standards supporting professional mobility, while competitive development succeeds through superior services. The professional validation that confirmed my business strategy operated within industry ethics, while competitive advantages derived from legitimate expertise rather than corporate appropriation or professional misconduct that might compromise legal standing. The civil litigation strategy that had been prepared would address both financial damages and market interference, while establishing industry precedent for protecting creative professionals from systematic appropriation and corporate exploitation that threatened individual achievement and professional recognition. Civil litigation addresses financial damages and market interference, while establishing industry precedent for protecting creative professionals. Litigation specialist Daniel Rodriguez had explained during case preparation. Professional protection prevents systematic appropriation, while competitive advantages ensure individual achievement and recognition through legitimate creative excellence and strategic innovation. Litigation addresses damages and interference while establishing precedent, protecting creative professionals, preventing appropriation, while competitive advantages ensure individual achievement through legitimate excellence. The legal impact that would ensure Thomas's theft served broader professional benefit while establishing standards that protected creative talent from corporate exploitation and systematic appropriation of individual achievements and strategic innovations. The professional sanctions coordination that had been arranged through industry associations would ensure that Thomas's appropriation behavior received appropriate professional accountability, while establishing ethical standards that supported independent creative development and professional mobility within industry competitive practices. Professional sanctions coordination ensures appropriation receives appropriate accountability. Sanctions specialist Patricia Martinez had confirmed during professional standards review. Ethical standards support independent creative development, while industry competitive practices honor professional mobility and individual achievement through legitimate business development and strategic innovation. Sanctions coordination ensures appropriation receives accountability with ethical standards supporting independent development, while competitive practices honor professional mobility and individual achievement through legitimate development. The professional framework that would ensure Thomas's corporate misconduct influenced industry standards while supporting authentic creative development and professional recognition that honored individual expertise over corporate authority and management appropriation. The morning of my termination had arrived with deceptive normalcy as I prepared for what would be Thomas's greatest professional miscalculation, while Catalyst Creative's operational teams finalized launch preparations that would transform his systematic betrayal into comprehensive competitive defeat through superior business strategy and creative excellence that honored authentic professional achievement. Final preparations confirm Catalyst Creative's readiness for immediate market competition. Operations Coordinator Amanda Torres had reported during morning briefing communications that occurred while Thomas prepared his termination presentation, believing he was eliminating professional opposition rather than triggering competitive response that would exceed his corporate capabilities. Client relationships confirmed, operational infrastructure complete, team coordination finalized for comprehensive market launch. Final preparations confirm readiness for immediate competition with client relationships confirmed. Infrastructure complete. Team coordination finalized for comprehensive launch. The operational readiness that would enable immediate competitive response while demonstrating that Thomas's termination timing had been strategically anticipated and converted into business opportunity through comprehensive preparation and professional planning that exceeded his corporate vision. The client confirmation calls that had been completed during early morning hours had provided final verification that Apex's most profitable accounts would transition to Catalyst Creative through legitimate relationship management while honoring professional connections that were based on creative excellence rather than corporate affiliation or management authority. Client confirmations. Verify account transition through legitimate relationship management. Client relations specialist Michael Torres had reported during transition coordination. Professional connections honor creative excellence, while competitive advantages derive from superior services rather than corporate affiliation, ensuring sustainable business development and strategic market positioning. Client confirmations verify transition through legitimate management with connections honoring excellence, while advantages derive from superior services, ensuring sustainable development and positioning. The relationship validation that proved Thomas's corporate authority provided no sustainable competitive advantages when clients could access superior creative services and strategic innovation through independent professional consultation and business partnership. But the most satisfying preparation had been final coordination with media and industry communications that would ensure Thomas's termination of my employment would receive immediate publicity as demonstration of corporate mismanagement and strategic failure that eliminated competitive advantages through professional misconduct and creative appropriation. Media coordination ensures termination receives immediate publicity as demonstration of corporate mismanagement. Communications specialist Daniel Martinez had confirmed during publicity planning. Strategic failure eliminates competitive advantages while professional misconduct and appropriation receive industry attention that influences market positioning and competitive credibility. Media coordination ensures termination receives publicity as mismanagement demonstration with strategic failure, eliminating advantages while misconduct receives industry attention influencing positioning and credibility. The communication strategy that would ensure Thomas's betrayal enhanced my professional standing while damaging his corporate reputation through industry recognition of systematic appropriation and management failure that threatened competitive market positioning. The legal coordination that had been finalized through attorney communications ensured that civil litigation would be filed immediately following termination while protecting Catalyst Creative's business development from corporate retaliation or competitive interference that might otherwise complicate market positioning during initial launch period. Legal coordination ensures civil litigation filed immediately following termination. Attorney Patricia Rodriguez had confirmed during final legal review, business development protection prevents corporate retaliation, while competitive advantages proceed through legitimate market positioning and superior creative services that demonstrate authentic professional expertise and strategic innovation. Legal coordination ensures litigation filed immediately with business development protection, preventing retaliation, while advantages proceed through legitimate positioning, demonstrating authentic expertise. The legal protection that would guarantee Thomas's termination triggered immediate accountability, while my competitive success proceeded through legitimate professional excellence rather than corporate interference or management retaliation that might otherwise compromise business development. The psychological preparation that had been completed through therapeutic consultation enabled professional composure during confrontation while maintaining emotional strength necessary for business leadership and competitive market positioning that would require sustained performance under professional pressure and industry scrutiny. Psychological preparation enables professional composure during confrontation. Therapeutic specialist Dr. Amanda Martinez had confirmed during final counseling session. Emotional strength supports business leadership, while competitive positioning requires sustained performance under pressure and scrutiny, demonstrating resilience and professional capability that exceed corporate management and systematic appropriation. Psychological preparation enables composure during confrontation with emotional strength, supporting leadership, while positioning requires sustained performance, demonstrating resilience exceeding corporate management. The therapeutic foundation that would ensure confrontation served professional development rather than emotional retaliation, while competitive success derived from authentic capability rather than vindictive response to systematic betrayal and corporate appropriation. As morning progressed and Thomas prepared his termination presentation, believing he was achieving strategic victory through professional elimination, I felt profound confidence knowing that comprehensive preparation had converted his systematic betrayal into catalyst for superior competitive positioning and business success that would exceed his corporate vision and professional capabilities. As Thomas prepared termination, believing he was achieving victory through elimination, comprehensive preparation had converted systematic betrayal into catalyst for superior competitive positioning, exceeding his vision. The strategic transformation that would ensure his moment of triumph became beginning of competitive defeat, while demonstrating that systematic underestimation had enabled preparation that exceeded his corporate capabilities and professional understanding of market competition and creative excellence. The termination meeting itself had unfolded exactly as Thomas had planned until the moment when my unexpected composure and strategic response revealed that his systematic betrayal had been anticipated and converted into comprehensive competitive preparation that would transform his professional triumph into immediate market defeat and corporate accountability. Alex, I need to inform you that your position at Apex Marketing is being eliminated. Effective immediately, Thomas had announced while presenting the termination documentation that he believed would end my career while securing his ownership of my creative innovations and client relationships. Recent evaluation has indicated strategic misalignment and performance concerns that require new creative direction for our client portfolio. Your position is being eliminated with evaluation, indicating strategic misalignment and performance concerns requiring new creative direction. The corporate justification that positioned systematic theft as legitimate business decision, while concealing months of preparation for appropriating my innovations and eliminating professional competition for credit and recognition of creative achievements. The executive team that witnessed Thomas's announcement had been clearly uncomfortable with the abrupt termination, while recognizing that my creative contributions had been consistently successful and profitable for Apex's strategic development and competitive market positioning during 3 years of professional achievement and client relationship building. Thomas. This decision seems quite sudden, given Alex's successful campaign history. VP Patricia Morrison had observed while reviewing my performance record that contradicted claims of strategic misalignment or creative inadequacy that would justify termination for business reasons rather than personal appropriation and professional elimination. This decision seems sudden, given Alex's successful campaign history. The executive concern that revealed Thomas's termination lacked legitimate business justification while creating suspicion about underlying motivations that involved systematic appropriation rather than strategic business development or performance management concerns. But the moment that transformed routine corporate termination into dramatic revelation of comprehensive competitive preparation came when I calmly presented Thomas with legal documents that proved his systematic theft while announcing that his most profitable clients had already transitioned to my independent consultancy through legitimate relationship management. Thomas, I appreciate the opportunity to clarify the strategic situation for everyone, I announced while distributing civil litigation documents and Catalyst creative business materials that proved comprehensive preparation for competitive response. 4 months ago, I discovered your systematic appropriation of my creative innovations and client relationships, and I've spent that time building Catalyst Creative into your most significant competitor. 4 months ago, I discovered your systematic appropriation and spent that time building Catalyst Creative into your most significant competitor. The revelation that eliminated Thomas's confident assumption while demonstrating that his theft had been detected and converted into strategic opportunity for competitive business development that would exceed his corporate capabilities. The evidence presentation that followed included comprehensive documentation of Thomas's unauthorized access to my creative files, systematic copying of strategic frameworks, and attempts to appropriate client relationships through corporate authority rather than creative excellence or professional expertise that would justify client loyalty and business development. Digital forensics prove systematic appropriation of creative innovations, while client communication records document attempts to steal relationships through corporate manipulation. I announced, while presenting technical evidence that eliminated any possibility of Thomas claiming legitimate management oversight or collaborative creative development. Digital forensics prove systematic appropriation, while communication records document attempts to steal relationships through corporate manipulation. The evidence that provided irrefutable proof of Thomas's criminal intent while exposing systematic planning for professional appropriation that violated both corporate ethics and legal standards for intellectual property protection and client relationship management. But the most devastating revelation for Thomas came when I announced that Apex's 3 most profitable clients, representing over 60% of agency revenue, had already signed exclusive contracts with Catalyst Creative while expressing enthusiasm for continued creative development free from corporate constraints and management interference. Meridian Hotels, Stellar Technologies, and Pinnacle Financial have signed exclusive creative consulting agreements with Catalyst Creative, I announced while presenting signed contracts that proved legitimate client relationship transition. They expressed clear preference for continued collaboration based on creative excellence rather than corporate authority or management hierarchy. Meridian, Stellar, and Pinnacle signed exclusive agreements expressing preference for continued collaboration based on creative excellence rather than corporate authority. The client validation that proved Thomas's corporate position provided no sustainable competitive advantages while demonstrating that professional relationships were based on individual expertise rather than institutional affiliation or management control. The silence that followed my announcement was broken only by Thomas's desperate attempt to claim collaborative ownership of creative innovations, while threatening legal action that was immediately contradicted by comprehensive evidence and superior legal preparation that would ensure civil litigation favored my intellectual property rights. "This is corporate theft, and I'll pursue full legal remedies," Thomas declared, with voice trembling as he realized that his systematic appropriation had been detected and documented, while his victims had prepared comprehensive competitive response that exceeded his defensive capabilities and legal resources. "This is corporate theft, and I'll pursue full legal remedies." The desperate defense that revealed Thomas's awareness that his corporate theft had been exposed, while demonstrating his fundamental misunderstanding of legal evidence and competitive market positioning that would ensure his threats resulted in additional legal consequences rather than successful intimidation or professional retaliation. The immediate aftermath of my resignation and competitive business announcement had created comprehensive chaos throughout Apex marketing as executives processed the reality that their most profitable client relationships and creative innovations had been systematically lost through management misconduct, while Thomas faced civil litigation and professional accountability for systematic appropriation and corporate theft. Alex Parker's resignation and competitive business launch represents immediate crisis for Apex marketing. Emergency consulting specialist Daniel Rodriguez had been brought in to assess damage, while board members realized that Thomas's termination strategy had eliminated their most valuable creative asset while triggering comprehensive competitive threat and legal accountability. Resignation and competitive launch represents immediate crisis, with termination strategy eliminating most valuable asset while triggering comprehensive competitive threat and legal accountability. The corporate damage assessment that revealed Thomas's strategic failure while demonstrating that systematic appropriation had resulted in catastrophic loss of competitive advantages and market positioning that would require extensive recovery efforts and professional restructuring. The client communication crisis that had emerged immediately following my announcement required emergency management as Meridian Hotels, Stellar Technologies, and Pinnacle Financial publicly confirmed their transition to Catalyst Creative while citing superior creative services and strategic innovation as primary factors in relationship changes. Client communications confirmed transition citing superior creative services and strategic innovation. Crisis management specialist Amanda Torres had reported during emergency damage control. Public statements emphasize individual professional relationships, while corporate affiliation provides no competitive advantages when authentic creative excellence and strategic expertise are available through independent consultation. Client communications confirm transition citing superior services with public statements emphasizing individual relationships, while corporate affiliation provides no competitive advantages when authentic excellence is available. The market validation that proved Thomas's corporate authority was meaningless when clients could access superior creative development and strategic consultation through legitimate professional relationships and independent business partnership. But the most devastating consequence for Thomas had been immediate board investigation into systematic appropriation, while federal authorities initiated criminal inquiry into corporate theft and intellectual property violations that would result in both civil liability and potential criminal prosecution for management misconduct. Board investigation initiated into systematic appropriation with federal inquiry into corporate theft. Investigation coordinator Michael Torres had reported during accountability procedures. Civil liability and potential criminal prosecution for management misconduct create comprehensive accountability, while corporate reputation suffers substantial damage through systematic professional appropriation and strategic failure. Board investigation and federal inquiry create comprehensive accountability, with corporate reputation suffering substantial damage through systematic appropriation and strategic failure. The accountability framework that ensured Thomas's theft triggered serious consequences while establishing industry precedent for protecting creative professionals from management exploitation and systematic appropriation of individual achievements and strategic innovations. The media coverage that had resulted from corporate crisis and competitive business launch had established Catalyst Creative as example of successful independent creative consultancy, while exposing systematic problems with traditional agency models that limited creative development through management hierarchy and corporate appropriation. Media coverage establishes Catalyst Creative as successful independent consultancy example. Media specialist Patricia Martinez had reported during publicity analysis. Corporate crisis exposes systematic problems with traditional agency models, limiting creative development through management hierarchy, while independent consultation enables superior client services and strategic innovation. Media coverage establishes Catalyst as successful example, with crisis exposing problems in traditional models, limiting development through hierarchy, while independent consultation enables superior services. The industry recognition that transformed competitive business launch into educational demonstration while establishing new standards for creative professional development and client relationship management that honored individual expertise over corporate authority. The business performance validation that had occurred during first weeks of Catalyst Creative operations had exceeded all projections while demonstrating market demand for creative services that combined individual excellence with strategic innovation rather than corporate management and systematic appropriation that limited creative potential and professional achievement. Catalyst Creative performance exceeded projections demonstrating market demand for creative services combining individual excellence with strategic innovation. Performance analyst Daniel Martinez had reported during initial evaluation. Client satisfaction and revenue growth prove competitive advantages of authentic creative development, while corporate management and appropriation limit potential and achievement. Performance exceeded projections demonstrating market demand for services combining excellence with innovation, proving competitive advantages of authentic development, while corporate management limits potential. The business validation that confirmed independent creative consultancy provided superior competitive positioning, while traditional corporate models that relied on appropriation and management hierarchy could not compete effectively against authentic professional expertise and strategic innovation. The industry transformation that had been influenced through Catalyst Creative's success had established new standards for creative professional development while encouraging independent consultation and intellectual property protection that honored individual achievement, rather than enabling corporate appropriation and systematic professional exploitation. Industry transformation established new standards for creative professional development. Industry analyst Amanda Rodriguez had reported during market impact evaluation. Independent consultation and intellectual property protection honor individual achievement, while preventing corporate appropriation and professional exploitation that threatens creative development and strategic innovation in competitive markets. Industry transformation established new standards, honoring individual achievement, while preventing corporate appropriation and exploitation threatening creative development and innovation in competitive markets. The cultural impact that ensured Thomas's systematic theft served broader professional benefit while establishing industry standards that protected creative talent from management exploitation and corporate appropriation that limited professional development and strategic achievement through systematic appropriation and competitive interference. The 6 months following Thomas's professional destruction and Apex Marketing's corporate crisis had established Catalyst Creative as regional leader in strategic marketing consultation, while demonstrating that independent creative development could achieve superior competitive advantages through authentic professional excellence, rather than corporate authority and systematic appropriation that limited innovation and client relationship depth. Catalyst Creative has achieved market leadership in strategic marketing consultation within 6 months. Business performance specialist Michael Torres reported during competitive analysis evaluation. Independent creative development provides superior advantages through authentic excellence, while corporate authority and appropriation limit innovation and relationship depth, proving sustainable competitive positioning through professional expertise. Catalyst achieved market leadership within 6 months with independent development providing superior advantages through authentic excellence, while corporate authority limits innovation proving sustainable positioning. The business validation that demonstrated authentic creative development created superior competitive advantages, while traditional corporate models that relied on appropriation and management hierarchy could not sustain market positioning when measured against individual expertise and strategic innovation. The client satisfaction metrics that had been documented through comprehensive service evaluation had consistently exceeded industry standards while proving that independent creative consultation provided strategic value and relationship depth unavailable through traditional agency models that prioritized corporate authority over individual creative excellence and professional expertise. Client satisfaction consistently exceeds industry standards, proving independent consultation provides strategic value unavailable through traditional agency models, satisfaction specialist Amanda Torres reported during service evaluation. Corporate authority limitations cannot compete with individual creative excellence, while professional expertise enables superior client relationships and strategic development that serves business objectives. Client satisfaction exceeds industry standards, proving independent consultation provides strategic value with individual excellence, enabling superior relationships serving business objectives. The service validation that confirmed clients preferred authentic creative development and strategic consultation over corporate authority and management hierarchy that limited innovation potential and professional relationship depth through systematic appropriation and competitive interference. But the most meaningful transformation had been personal and professional growth that emerged from building independent business based on authentic creative excellence while establishing industry reputation that honored individual achievement rather than accepting limitation through corporate hierarchy and systematic appropriation of professional contributions and strategic innovations. Alex's professional transformation demonstrates exceptional creative leadership and business development capability. Industry recognition specialist Daniel Martinez acknowledged during professional evaluation. Independent business success reflects authentic expertise, while industry reputation honors individual achievement rather than corporate limitation, establishing new standards for creative professional development and strategic consultation. Professional transformation demonstrates exceptional creative leadership, with independent success reflecting authentic expertise, while industry reputation honors individual achievement, establishing new standards for development. The professional recognition that validated business strategy while establishing reputation for creative excellence and strategic innovation that would influence future industry development and professional standards for intellectual property protection and individual achievement. The intellectual property legislation that had been influenced through Catalyst Creative's case had established enhanced protection for creative professionals while creating stronger penalties for corporate appropriation and systematic professional exploitation that threatened innovation development and individual achievement in competitive market environments. Intellectual property legislation includes enhanced protection for creative professionals. Legislative specialist Patricia Rodriguez reported during policy impact evaluation. Stronger penalties for corporate appropriation protect innovation development, while individual achievement receives legal support that prevents systematic exploitation and encourages authentic creative development through professional recognition and business opportunity. Legislation includes enhanced protection with stronger penalties, protecting innovation while individual achievement receives legal support, preventing exploitation and encouraging authentic development through recognition. The legislative impact that ensured Thomas's appropriation ultimately strengthened legal protection for creative professionals, while establishing enforcement mechanisms that would prevent similar corporate theft and encourage authentic innovation development through individual recognition and professional opportunity. The romantic relationship that had developed with client development specialist Patricia Morrison during business building had evolved into authentic partnership based on mutual professional respect and shared commitment to creative excellence rather than corporate expectations or professional limitations that might compromise individual achievement and business development. Our professional collaboration during business development created foundation for authentic partnership, Patricia reflected during relationship discussions. Your creative leadership and strategic innovation demonstrate character qualities that build genuine connection based on mutual respect, while shared commitment to excellence enhances both individual achievement and partnership development. Professional collaboration created foundation for authentic partnership with creative leadership, demonstrating character-building genuine connection, while shared commitment enhances both individual achievement and partnership development. The relationship that emerged from business success while establishing partnership based on professional recognition and shared values, rather than corporate hierarchy or economic dependency that might otherwise limit individual development and creative potential. The creative industry foundation that had been established through Catalyst Creative's success provided educational resources and legal assistance for creative professionals facing corporate appropriation, while creating institutional support that protected innovation development from systematic exploitation and management interference that threatened professional achievement and strategic innovation. Creative Industry Foundation provides educational resources and legal assistance for professionals facing appropriation. Foundation Coordinator Daniel Rodriguez reported during impact evaluation. Institutional support protects innovation development, while systematic exploitation prevention enables professional achievement and strategic innovation through individual recognition and authentic creative development. Foundation provides resources and assistance with institutional support, protecting innovation, while exploitation prevention enables professional achievement through individual recognition and authentic development. The social impact that transformed personal professional victory into comprehensive community protection, while demonstrating that strategic response to corporate appropriation could serve broader benefit through institutional change and professional education that protected vulnerable creative talent. As Catalyst Creative continued establishing industry leadership, while Thomas faced ongoing legal accountability and professional sanctions for systematic appropriation, I understood that corporate betrayal had ultimately provided catalyst for discovering authentic potential and business capabilities that exceeded anything possible within traditional management hierarchy that limited rather than supported creative development and professional achievement through individual recognition and strategic innovation. The 3 years that had passed since Thomas's professional destruction and the establishment of Catalyst Creative as industry leader in strategic marketing consultation had created comprehensive legacy that demonstrated how corporate betrayal could become catalyst for positive transformation when response honored authentic creative excellence rather than accepting systematic exploitation as inevitable professional reality. Catalyst Creative represents exceptional example of transforming corporate betrayal into industry leadership and social contribution. Harvard Business School case study, documentation acknowledged during academic recognition. Alex Parker's strategic response to systematic appropriation demonstrates creative expertise and ethical leadership that serve both individual achievement and broader professional community protection through innovation integrity and corporate accountability. Catalyst represents exceptional example of transforming betrayal into leadership, demonstrating creative expertise and ethical leadership serving individual achievement and community protection through innovation integrity. The academic recognition that honored business transformation while establishing Catalyst Creative as educational model for independent creative development and strategic crisis management that influenced professional education and industry standards for intellectual property protection and individual achievement. The wedding ceremony that Patricia and I had celebrated the previous spring had united two creative professionals whose partnership was based on mutual respect for intellectual property rights and shared commitment to using professional expertise for innovation development, rather than personal advancement through corporate appropriation or competitive manipulation that might compromise authentic achievement and professional integrity. Our relationship demonstrates that authentic partnership enhances creative achievement while creating shared commitment to innovation and professional integrity, Patricia observed during anniversary reflection. Your business success and creative leadership complement my client development expertise while we both maintain independent professional identities and contribute to industry development through authentic excellence and strategic innovation. Authentic partnership enhances creative achievement while creating shared commitment to innovation with business success, complementing client expertise while maintaining independent identities, contributing to industry development. The relationship foundation that proved professional success could strengthen personal partnerships when based on mutual respect and shared values, rather than corporate dependency or economic considerations that might otherwise limit individual development or compromise authentic creative potential. But the most profound transformation had been understanding that Thomas's systematic appropriation had ultimately revealed creative capabilities and business acumen that might never have been developed within corporate hierarchy, where management filtering limited individual recognition and professional development potential that honored intellectual creativity and strategic thinking. Thomas's appropriation forced Alex to discover business leadership capabilities that exceeded all expectations. Business achievement specialist Daniel Rodriguez reflected during professional evaluation. His systematic underestimation enabled comprehensive strategic response that demonstrated creative expertise and business acumen while establishing industry leadership that serves broader social benefit through innovation protection and professional recognition. Appropriation forced discovery of leadership capabilities with underestimation, enabling strategic response, demonstrating expertise and acumen while establishing leadership serving social benefit through innovation protection. The personal development that transformed corporate victimization into professional empowerment, while revealing that systematic betrayal could become catalyst for achieving authentic potential when response honored intellectual capacity rather than accepting limitation through corporate hierarchy and management exploitation. The creative industry transformation that Catalyst Creative had influenced had become standard practice while encouraging independent consultation and intellectual property protection that honored individual achievement, rather than enabling corporate appropriation and systematic professional exploitation that threatened innovation development and strategic excellence. Creative industry transformation became standard practice, encouraging independent consultation and intellectual property protection. Industry analyst Michael Torres reported during transformation evaluation. Individual achievement receives industry support, while corporate appropriation prevention protects innovation development through professional recognition and authentic creative excellence that serves competitive market positioning. Industry transformation became standard practice, encouraging consultation and protection, with individual achievement receiving support, while appropriation prevention protects innovation through recognition and authentic excellence. The cultural impact that ensured Thomas's systematic theft served broader professional benefit, while establishing industry standards that protected creative talent from corporate exploitation and encouraged authentic development through professional recognition and strategic innovation that honored individual contributions. The speaking engagements and industry consultations that had developed through professional recognition provided opportunities to educate business leaders about intellectual property protection while sharing strategic approaches for supporting creative talent and preventing corporate appropriation that threatened innovation development and competitive advancement. Professional education programs trained over 1,500 business leaders in creative talent support and appropriation prevention. Education specialist Amanda Torres reported during outreach evaluation. Training methodology established industry awareness, protecting innovation development, while encouraging authentic creative achievement through professional recognition and business support that honors individual contributions and strategic excellence. Education programs trained over 1,500 leaders establishing industry awareness, protecting innovation, while encouraging authentic achievement through recognition and support, honoring individual contributions and excellence. The educational impact that converted personal experience with corporate appropriation into community protection, while demonstrating that professional victimization could serve broader social benefit through industry education and awareness that protected vulnerable creative talent from systematic targeting and exploitation. The Creative Innovation Center that had been established through business success provided comprehensive resources for individual creative professionals while creating institutional support that protected innovation development from corporate exploitation and ensured appropriate recognition for breakthrough achievements and intellectual property contributions that served industry advancement and competitive excellence. Innovation Center provided resources for over 800 creative professionals while establishing institutional support, protecting development from exploitation. Center Coordinator Patricia Martinez reported during impact evaluation. Comprehensive assistance ensures appropriate recognition for breakthrough achievements while creating industry framework that honors intellectual property and prevents systematic appropriation through professional accountability and legal protection. Center provided resources for over 800 professionals, establishing support protecting development with comprehensive assistance, ensuring recognition while creating framework honoring property and preventing appropriation. The institutional legacy that transformed personal intellectual property protection into comprehensive community support, while ensuring that Thomas's corporate appropriation ultimately served positive social change through innovation, protection, and creative professional recognition that influenced industry standards and business culture. As I reflected on complete transformation that had occurred through strategic response to Thomas's betrayal, while Catalyst Creative continued establishing industry leadership and Patricia's creative development flourished through partnership that honored individual achievement, I understood that systematic corporate appropriation had ultimately provided catalyst for discovering capabilities that exceeded any opportunity available within traditional corporate management hierarchy. The conference room where Thomas had announced my termination had become symbol of authentic achievement, while serving reminder that intellectual property rights deserved protection through strategic response that honored creative integrity over corporate appropriation and systematic exploitation of professional talent and strategic innovation. In the end, Thomas's assumption that corporate authority could override individual creative excellence had proven as incorrect as his belief that management hierarchy provided sustainable competitive advantages when measured against authentic professional expertise and strategic innovation that served client objectives through creative excellence rather than corporate appropriation. The empty office where Thomas had planned corporate empire through stolen achievements now housed our Innovation Center's research division, working with creative professionals whose contributions received appropriate recognition through industry culture that honored intellectual property and protected authentic achievement from systematic appropriation and competitive manipulation. Justice had been achieved not through revenge, but through strategic response that served creative advancement and intellectual property protection, while demonstrating that professional expertise deserved recognition through business frameworks that supported authentic achievement over corporate exploitation and systematic appropriation of individual contributions and strategic innovations that served competitive excellence and market leadership. Some betrayals reveal that apparent victims possess capabilities that exceed their exploiters' expectations, while serving purposes larger than individual justice through community protection and industry transformation that honor innovation integrity over systematic appropriation and professional exploitation that threatens creative development and strategic advancement. The creative consulting practice that Thomas had tried to destroy through appropriation had become foundation for industry-leading competitive advantage while establishing business culture that protected creative talent and honored authentic achievement through appropriate recognition and strategic support, rather than allowing corporate exploitation to limit innovation potential and professional advancement through systematic appropriation and management interference that compromised creative excellence and strategic innovation.